Your potential isn't set in stone. What you know, what you're capable of, and who you can become, it's not limited to what you were born with. The greatest separator between those who achieve extraordinary things and those who don't isn't talent, it's mindset. And the mindset that drives success, resilience, and constant improvement is the growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that abilities can be developed through dedication and effort. It's understanding that failure isn't a dead end, it's feedback. It's seeing challenges not as roadblocks but as obstacles to overcome. It's choosing to learn from mistakes rather than letting them define you. Many people operate with the fixed mindset. It's believing their intelligence, talents, and abilities are set at birth. They avoid challenges, fearing failure will expose their shortcomings. They see effort as pointless if they don't succeed immediately. They view feedback as criticism instead of an opportunity to improve. On the other hand, a person with a growth mindset sees setbacks as just part of the journey. They embrace what's difficult because they understand that struggle leads to progress. They actively seek out feedback, not to validate their worth, but to refine their approach. They don't fear being bad at something new. They see it as a challenge to get better. If you've spent years operating with a fixed mindset, don't worry, change is possible. So here's how to start shifting your perspective. First, reframe failure as a lesson. Every mistake carries a lesson if you're willing to learn from it. The most successful people aren't those who never fail, but those who refuse to let failure define them. Instead of saying I failed, say I learned. Challenge your own limiting beliefs. Stop telling yourself you can't do. Instead, start asking, how can I improve? Talent might open doors, but perseverance is what keeps them open. Whatever skill you want to develop, it's consistent effort that'll get you there. Embrace the process. Growth doesn't happen overnight. Progress isn't always linear. Some days you'll feel like you're moving backward. That's normal. But if you stay committed, keep learning, and refuse to quit, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Surround yourself with the right people. Mindsets are contagious. If you spend time around people who complain, make excuses, and accept mediocrity, you'll absorb that mentality. But if you surround yourself with those who push themselves, who embrace discomfort, who keep striving, you'll be influenced in the best way possible. Speak to yourself like you would a friend. Your inner dialogue matters. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, you're wiring your brain to believe it. Instead of saying, I'll never be able to do this, shift to, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting better every day. Life isn't about being perfect. It's about improving. It's about evolving, stretching yourself, and becoming someone greater than you were yesterday. A growth mindset doesn't just lead to success, it leads to resilience, confidence, and the ability to adapt in an ever-changing world. So the next time you're faced with a challenge, ask yourself, am I going to let this defeat me, or am I going to grow from it? The choice is always yours. The most powerful thing about a growth mindset is that once you adopt it, the possibilities are endless. Your story isn't finished, it's still being written, and you hold the pen. In your lifetime, there's going to be highs and lows, moments of triumph and times of struggle. And while we might not always be where we want to be, we can take a moment to reflect on how far we've come. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm grateful I'm not where I used to be. That's a powerful reminder that progress is worth celebrating, even if it doesn't feel monumental. Too often we're so focused on the destination that we forget to appreciate the journey, the lessons we've learned, the battles we've fought, and the growth we've experienced. There was a time when you'd be happy with where you are right now. A time when today's reality seemed comfortable. Maybe you were stuck in a job you hated, and now you're working towards your passion. Maybe you were in a place of emotional pain, and now you found healing. Maybe you were weighed down by fear, and now you're stepping into courage. Wherever you are, give yourself credit for the journey. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a step closer to the person you're becoming. This sentiment is universal. Take the caterpillar, for example. When it's cocooned, it doesn't know what lies ahead. The transformation into a butterfly isn't instant. It's a process. It's messy and uncertain. But the caterpillar doesn't give up, and neither should you. There was a story of a young artist who wanted to master his craft. For years he sketched, painted, and practiced, frustrated because he wasn't producing masterpieces. But one day he stumbled upon his first drawing from years before. It was rough, unpolished, and barely recognizable. But in that moment he realized something profound. He wasn't a master yet, but he had come so far. That's the power of gratitude. Gratitude shifts our focus from what's lacking to what's already here. It reminds us that even though the mountain peak is still ahead, we've already climbed so much. But gratitude isn't just about acknowledgement, it's fuel. It keeps you going when the road feels long. It reminds you why you started in the first place. Take a moment today to look back, not to dwell on the past, but to appreciate it. Think about the challenges you faced, the sleepless nights, the doubts, the sacrifices. And then think about how much stronger, wiser, and more resilient you've become. You see, growth doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it's about enduring the tough times, holding on when it feels like you have nothing left, and trusting that better days are ahead. No, you might not be where you want to be just yet, but you're not where you used to be. And that, my friends, is something to be proud of. We tend to think that growth is always about more, adding new skills, gaining new experiences, meeting new people, and climbing to higher places. But sometimes growth isn't about addition at all. Sometimes it's about deletion. It's about releasing the things that weigh us down so we can rise to our full potential. You see, we all carry things that no longer serve us. Maybe it's an old habit that keeps pulling you back to square one. Maybe it's a version of yourself you've outgrown, a version rooted in self-doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs. Or maybe it's a relationship that drains you instead of lifting you up. Whatever it is, holding on to it is like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of rocks. You're still moving, but the weight is slowing you down. Truth is, you can't step into what you're meant to be if you're still holding on to who you used to be. Think about a tree in autumn. It doesn't fight to hold on to its leaves. It doesn't fear letting go. It trusts the process. It knows that shedding the old makes way for the new. Because without letting go, there's no space for spring to bring new life. Growth works the same way for us. To move forward, we have to let go of what's behind. Let go of that old story you keep telling yourself about why you're not good enough. Let go of the toxic relationships that make you shrink. Let go of the comfort zone that feels safe, but's actually suffocating. And sometimes you have to let go of the very dream you thought would define you to make room for the new one that will transform you. But letting go isn't easy because we cling to the familiarity, even when it hurts, out of fear of the unknown. But let me ask you this, what's scarier? letting go of what's holding you back or staying stuck in the same place forever. Imagine a hot air balloon. The only way it rises is by releasing its sandbags, those heavy weights that keep it tethered to the ground. The moment it lets go, it soars. And the same goes for you. Your potential isn't something you need to chase. It's already within you. You just have to drop those weights. Take a moment and ask yourself, what do I need to let go of? What habits, relationships, or versions of myself are keeping me grounded? And be honest. Because the first step to freedom is recognizing what's holding you captive. And once you see it, you can decide right here, right now, that you won't let it define you anymore. You're allowed to let go of the past. You're allowed to outgrow the old version of yourself. You're allowed to walk away from people or places that no longer align with your purpose. And you're allowed to step into the new, even if it's uncertain, even if it's uncomfortable, because that's where growth lies. At the end of the day, you get to decide whether you'll stay weighed down or rise. The choice is yours. Let go of the fear, let go of the excuses, let go of anything that's holding you back, because your future is waiting. And it's lighter, brighter, and more beautiful than you can imagine. But first, you have to release what no longer belongs. Picture yourself driving down the road and someone asks you, how many red cars did you see today? You'd probably pause, shrug, and say, I didn't notice any. But why didn't you? Because red cars weren't on your radar. You weren't paying attention to them. But if I told you I'd give you $50 for every red car you spot, suddenly red cars would pop out everywhere. You'd be amazed at how many there are, zipping by, parked in driveways, or lined up at stoplights. And it's not that the red cars suddenly appeared out of nowhere. They were always there. You just weren't looking for them. This is the red car theory, and it's a perfect example of how we view opportunities in life. Most of us go through our days, our weeks, maybe even our entire lives, not noticing the opportunities that surround us. Why? Because we're not looking for them. But what if you trained your mind to be on the lookout for opportunities? Just as you would those red cars. Imagine what you'd start to see. Opportunities like those red cars are everywhere. They're in the people you meet, the books you read, the challenges you face, and the quiet moments when ideas spark. But too often we're so focused on what's familiar, what's comfortable, or what's routine that we completely miss them. Our attention is elsewhere, so the chances and possibilities stay hidden in plain sight. See, when you start looking for something specific, your brain zeroes in on it. This is because our minds have a unique system called the reticular activating system, which filters what we notice based on what we focus on. When you direct your focus, you're telling your brain what's important to you. So if you start to actively look for opportunities, your brain will begin to reveal them. Just like with the red cars, you'll start seeing opportunities everywhere because now you're primed to notice them. Many of us think opportunities are rare or reserved for the lucky few, but luck often has little to do with it. Luck favors the prepared and the aware. People who seem lucky are often those who've trained themselves to notice potential everywhere. They're open, curious, and willing to see things others overlook. So what if you adopted this mindset? What if you became one of those people who are constantly on the lookout, scanning your surroundings, your experiences, your conversations, for anything that could lead to growth, success, or a new adventure? The truth is, opportunity is a mindset. It's the choice to see each moment as a door that could open, each problem as something you can solve, and each day as a new chance to go after what you want. But it requires you to be proactive. It requires you to set your intentions, to tell your mind, this is what I'm looking for. And just like the red cars, once you're aware, you'll be astonished by what you find. Make the switch and decide that starting today, you're going to start searching for opportunities. Every morning tell yourself, I'm going to be open to whatever good comes my way today. Whether it's a conversation that leads to a new idea, a challenge that pushes you to grow, or even a book that inspires you. Opportunity could be anywhere. You just have to be ready to see it. Don't be the person who goes through life missing out on what's right in front of them. Be the one who sees what others don't. Because once you start looking for those red cars, once you start looking for opportunity, you'll realize they've been right there all along, just waiting for you to notice. Can I be real for a second? Too many people are lying to themselves. You say you want success, but your actions tell a different story. You talk about wanting to get in shape, start that business, or build a better relationship. But what do your daily habits look like? Are you putting in the work, or are you just talking about it? We all do it at some point. We tell ourselves we'll start tomorrow. We say, I'm serious this time. But we keep hitting snooze, skipping workouts, or making excuses for why we're not where we want to be. The truth hurts, but here it is. If your words and actions don't align, you're lying to yourself. And I get it. It feels good to dream. It feels good to say big things out loud, to talk about your future self and how amazing life will be someday. But let me ask you this. What good are those words if they never translate into action? It's easy to say you want to change. The hard part is doing what's required day in and day out. Stop pretending you're waiting for the right moment. You know deep down there's no perfect time. Waiting is just a cover for fear. You're not waiting for circumstances to change. You're waiting for your own courage to kick in. And here's the harsh truth. If you don't get real with yourself now, a year from today, you'll still be in the same place. Your actions define you, not your intentions. You can have the best intentions in the world, but if they never see the light of day, they mean nothing. It's what you do consistently that shapes your reality. Think about this. How many promises have you made to yourself that you haven't kept? You said you'd start working out, but you're still on the couch. You said you'd work on that passion project, but Netflix always wins. You said you wanted better relationships, but you're not putting in the effort to connect. Words are easy. Action is everything. You can't build the life you want by talking about it. You build it by living it. Every time you lie to yourself, every time your actions don't match your words, you chip away at your self-respect. Eventually, you stop trusting yourself, and that's when things fall apart. But here's the good news. It's never too late to turn things around. If you've been living a lie, today's the day to get honest with yourself. Stop saying what you're going to do and just do it. Start small if you have to, but start. Even the smallest actions create momentum. You don't need grand gestures to prove you're serious. You need consistent daily effort. It's in those small everyday decisions that success is born. If you show up every day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, your actions will begin to align with your words. And that alignment, that's where self-respect, confidence, and real progress live. So stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending you'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow is a trap. It doesn't exist. All you have is right now. So stop talking and start doing it. If your actions don't match your words, change your actions. Or change your words, but don't let them stay out of sync. Your future self is depending on you to get real today. So what are you waiting for? It's time to stop making excuses and start making moves. Get up, take action, and finally become the person you've been telling yourself you'd be. The only way forward is through honesty, and that starts right now. Have you ever noticed how the smallest of actions can lead to the most incredible changes in your life? Imagine you're standing at the edge of a vast forest, the towering trees representing the obstacles between you and your goals or your dreams. It's overwhelming, isn't it? But what if I told you that the key to navigating this forest isn't about taking giant leaps, but rather it's making subtle, intentional steps? Let me share the story of a young man with a common goal that many of us can relate to. Thomas was a former athlete, and he fell out of shape after entering the business world. He was upset with himself for allowing himself to get out of shape, and he hated the way he looked. But more importantly, he hated the way he felt. So he decided it was time to make some changes. But he was overwhelmed by the thought of starting with a full workout session. So instead of setting grandiose goals that seemed out of reach, he decided to make small, subtle changes. He began by dedicating just 10 minutes each morning to exercise. 10 minutes, that's all. At first, 10 minutes felt insignificant. But as the days passed, Thomas noticed something remarkable. Those 10 minutes grew into 20 and then 30. His stamina improved. His confidence soared, and he was loving his new physique. The key wasn't in the grand gestures, but in the consistent, tiny actions that compounded over time. There's the famous line that I'm sure you've heard before that says, "The journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step." This wisdom holds true for every area of our lives. The journey to your dreams, the path to self-improvement, begins not with the giant leaps, but with one small, deliberate step. Think about your own life for a moment. Is there something you've been putting off because the task seems too daunting? Perhaps it's learning a new skill, adopting a healthier lifestyle, or working towards a personal goal. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, start small. Take that first step. It might be just 5 minutes of focused work, a short walk, or a single page of a book. See yourself in the future, where you want to be, who you want to become. Identify as the person you'll be when those small changes have compounded into something significant. The journey starts now, and it's within your power to take that first step. Remember that transformation begins with the decision that something must change, and it must change now. So if you're in agreement, what's going to be your first step? How will you begin your journey today? Embrace the power of small changes and watch how they create a ripple effect, leading to extraordinary outcomes. The path to success starts with that one small step. Let's make today count. The one who smiles when things go wrong has thought of someone to blame it on. The first time I read that quote, it was on a coffee mug, and I remember laughing. It's a great quote. Things go wrong, who can I blame it on? Shifting responsibility or making someone else the scapegoat so I don't have to take the blame. It sounds like something a child would do, but for many adults, they've never outgrown this act. You may know some of these people, or worse yet, you may be one of them. I know I was for the longest time, always refusing to accept responsibility, always blaming others for my problems. Deflecting responsibility might be your survival go-to, but it will never be your growth machine. When you control what you can control and let go of the rest, when you finally accept that where you are right now is because of the choices you've made, man, it's a different world. It's a powerful state to finally say, I am responsible, and if things are to change, it is up to me. I'm not pointing fingers or placing blame. I'm finally accepting that everything that's happened in my life is because of the choices I made. And my future will be determined by the choices I'm going to make. It will be nobody's fault except my own, whether I succeed or not. Our past is filled with experiences where we did the best we could with what we had. We may have made mistakes, but it's not because we wanted to fail. It's simply because we didn't know better. Stop looking back with regret. All those experiences, the good and the bad, that's life. Those are the lessons that come with putting yourself out there and taking risks. It won't all work out. There are going to be things we wished we could change. Those wounds weren't fatal. They may have slowed you down, but look at what they turned you into. You are wiser, you are stronger, and you are more resilient just by having gone through hell and back. You are becoming the person you always wanted to be. It may have taken longer than you had hoped, but that's the universe's delivery system. It will deliver exactly what you need in the moment. You just need to be aware of the lessons along the way. Growth means learning not only from success, but mostly from failures. Like the butterfly struggling to escape its cocoon, it needs the resistance to build the strength in order to fly. Without the struggle, there can be no flight. You are the same. Use your setbacks as the stepping stones to make you stronger. Not until you've overcome adversity and escaped your personal cocoon can you spread your wings and fly. You may not control the outside, but you sure as hell control what's inside you. Your reactions, your choices, and therefore your future. So as you sip your next coffee, smile, yes. Blame others, not anymore. In the grand scheme of life, it's not the grandiose moments that define us. It's the daily decisions we make, the habits we cultivate, and the resilience we exhibit in the face of challenges that truly shape our destiny. Each day is an opportunity to move closer to our dreams, to unleash the greatness within us, and to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. It's time we awaken to the power of our choices and embrace the journey of growth with unwavering determination and grit. Legendary basketball coach John Wooden once said, "The true test of a man's character is what he does when no one is watching." Our daily decisions, no matter how seemingly insignificant, reveal our character and determine our path. It's easy to underestimate the impact of small choices, but it's these small choices that accumulate over time, the compound effect, if you will, shaping the course of our lives. Consider the choice to hit the snooze button or to rise with determination and purpose each morning. This seemingly small decision sets the tone for the day ahead. It's about choosing discipline over comfort, commitment over convenience. By embracing discipline in our daily routines, we free ourselves from the constraints of mediocrity and pave the way for greatness. But discipline alone is not enough. It's the habits we form that ultimately determine our success. As Aristotle so aptly put it, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Our habits shape our identity and determine our destiny. Whether it's the habit of reading daily to expand our minds, the habit of exercising to strengthen our bodies, or the habit of practicing gratitude to nourish our souls, each habit contributes to our growth and development. However, cultivating empowering habits requires the belief that our abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. In her groundbreaking research, psychologist Carol Dweck distinguished between a fixed mindset, where individuals believe their abilities are innate and unchangeable, and a growth mindset where individuals believe they can improve through effort and perseverance. The power of the growth mindset lies in its ability to turn setbacks into stepping stones and failures into opportunities. Instead of viewing challenges as insurmountable obstacles, we see them as temporary setbacks on the path to mastery. With a growth mindset, we embrace challenges with enthusiasm, knowing that each obstacle we overcome brings us one step closer to realizing our full potential. Yet even with discipline, empowering habits, and the growth mindset, success is not guaranteed. It's our ability to persevere in the face of adversity, our grit, that ultimately determines the fate. Angela Duckworth, a pioneering psychologist, defines grit as passion and perseverance for the long-term goals. It's the relentless pursuit of our dreams, even when the odds are stacked against us, even when the journey seems arduous and uncertain. Grit is what separates the dreamers from the achievers, the ordinary from the extraordinary. It's what propels us forward when others would falter, what keeps us going when others would quit. As Calvin Coolidge once said, nothing in this world can take the place of perseverance. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. So how do we cultivate grit in our own lives? It starts with a clear vision of our goals and a burning passion to achieve them. It's about setting audacious goals that inspire us to push beyond our limits and defy the status quo. It's about embracing discomfort and adversity as opportunities for growth rather than reasons to retreat. But perhaps most importantly, grit is cultivated through perseverance in the face of failure and rejection. It's about picking ourselves up when we fall, learning from our mistakes, and pressing onward with renewed determination. In the end, our success is not determined by the circumstances we face or the hand we've been dealt. It's determined by the daily decisions we make, the habits we cultivate, and the grit with which we pursue our dreams. For it's through these traits that we truly become the architects of our destiny.